Your introduction and conclusion are the bookends of your speech. They are the things your audience will have the easiest time remembering because it is the first thing they hear. And additionally, they will take the last things you say to them home with them because that's your final word on a subject. So how you navigate your introduction, your transitions within the speech, and the conclusion will be very important to how well you connect with your audience. What we need to talk about is how you open a speech. The transitions within the speech, they keep your audience from getting lost. And finally, how you close that speech. The introduction, you always need to start off with a strong attention-getting device. Something that will get your audience to put down their pens, to put away the cell phone, to look up, to listen, to begin that connection with you that you will carry throughout your speech. There are several ways to do this. This list isn't completely expansive. It is a beginning. But if you can relate a topic to your audience in your attention-getting device, something that you share in common, some type of information about your audience, perhaps what organization they are with, what group they belong to, anything that relates your speech to them will help draw their attention. Startling the audience, the old shock of a statistic or perhaps of a picture or any type of thing where you suddenly get your audience to be like, take that sudden breath and then pay attention to you. State the importance of your topic. Now, as you're starting to see here, these don't have to be standalone. You can mix and match these items. If you're going to state the importance of your audience, you're going to relate it to your audience. So it could be that your audience needs to pay attention because it will change how they think. Or perhaps they need to pay attention to you because it's going to change the world of tomorrow. The importance of your topic can easily be worked into several other of the attention getters. Arouse curiosity. You can do that through multiple ways. Not just question of the audience, what we're going to speak about, but perhaps you want to show them a puzzle. Perhaps you want to show them an incomplete picture. Perhaps you want to get them to start to get out their sleuth, their inner sleuth, and help you solve something. Arouse curiosity is very beneficial in an attention-getting device. Then is the questioning of the audience. Now, we like to think of the rhetorical questions that we put out there and ask your audience, okay, and you don't expect a response. But what happens if you expect a response? It actually becomes a better question for the audience. Get them to move, to raise a hand, to say something, to stand up. By doing this, not only are you drawing in their attention, but you're getting them involved with your presentation, which is an additional way to keep them tied into what you're saying. Begin with a quote. And of course, the quote needs to relate to your topic, relate to your audience, be of importance to them. But this is a way of borrowing someone's ethos or their credibility by quoting a president, by perhaps quoting a civil rights leader, or quoting your favorite comedian or star. All of those things are a good way to draw your audience in and borrow a little credibility for yourself. Or tell a story. Telling a story that's related to your topic gets your audience out of their seats, not physically, but mentally. Ask them to look through your eyes and to share an experience. And through storytelling, that is what you're doing. And those are all wonderful attention getters. As I mentioned, you can match and combine these to make an even more impactful attention-getting device. Now that you have your attention, tell them what you're there to do. Why are you standing in front of them? What is the topic? What is your thesis? 1 or 2 sentences. I am here to instruct you on. I am here to educate you about. I'm here to inform you about. I'm here to change your life by telling you this. Give them additional information that is your topic, and then tell them why it's important to them through justification. It is important to you because, and in this justification, your audience realizes they need to continue paying attention to you, that they can't just turn you back off. They need to stay engaged throughout your presentation. Establish credibility. Now you have their attention. Now that you told them why it's important, now tell them why they should listen to you. This is the point where you can list off those degrees. You can tell them about those life experiences. You can tell them about the hobbies. You can tell them about your ethos, your credibility, your basic skills and knowledge, and why you are credible to them and why they should listen. Finally, you want to finish off that introduction by previewing what you're going to tell them. During every speech, you tell your audience 3 times your information. You're going to preview it, and then you're going to tell them in the body of your speech, and you're going to review it. This is your first opportunity. This also helps you write your outline. By previewing, you now know what the body of that speech needs to be. It's important. Now they have your audience's attention. You've drawn them in. You've introduced your topic. You have them excited about where you're going. But just like that bus driver, just like that tour guide, just like a leader, you need to let them know how to get through your speech. You need to guide them from that introduction through the body of your speech to that conclusion. To do this, a simple method is signposting. Terms like moving on, let's start with, turning to. All of those are good ways to transition from that introduction into the body of your speech and between the main points of your speech. Elaborating, expanding. Let's first discuss. Second, let's discuss the primary concern we need to look at, the secondary concern, the final concern we really need to address. To start with, next, finally. All these are simple signposts. They are points on your speech, so your audience will know where they're going. Because if you do not bring them along with you, they're not going to pay attention. They're going to turn off, they're going to get lost, and they're going to get confused, and they'll pick up that cell phone again. So signposting lets your audience know you're moving in the right direction and they should come along. The conclusion. This is information that you want your audience to walk away with. If you know anything about short-term and long-term memory and how often information is maintained and retained, the first block of information is easy to remember because we don't have a lot in there. And so your introduction usually sticks well with your audience. The body, well, the body, if you signpost it well, they can remember that. But the most recent information is the information your audience will retain the most. Because you're not giving them new information, they have the chance to replay that and move it from their short-term memory into their long-term memory. For this reason, be honest with your conclusion. And I mean honest in this way. Signal it once. Because if you've ever been in a classroom, if you've ever been in an office, unfortunately, too often, the speaker will begin their conclusion with, let's summarize. Let's finish with, let's conclude. And after that, you're on a clock because if you go on too long, they're picking up their briefcase. They're picking up that book bag. They are getting ready to leave because you've gone from, now let's conclude with, and summarize, and let's finish up with. Well, You tell it to them one time, they'll stick with you. You tell it to them twice, you're lying to them, and they stop paying attention and they get ready to go. You want to reinforce your central idea. You don't want to leave your central idea just up at the beginning. You want to include it in your conclusion. You want to restate it. You can restate it in a new way, but you want to have that central idea in both locations, your introduction and your conclusion. You want to review your central points. As I said, you're going to tell your audience something 3 times. That repetition hopefully will move it from their short-term memory into their long-term memory. So it is impactful in their life. It is new information they retain. It is something that they will draw upon to change their perspective, their ideas, or their life. So you review the central points. And then finally, you want that mic drop. You don't want that sheepish, and that's the end of my speech, thank you. No, you want them to be impacted. You want a dramatic quote, a good statement, and you want to make sure that, just like your introduction, it relates to your audience, to your topic, and it is something when they leave, their minds can be thinking about. Because if you do a sheepish or sloppy ending at the end of your speech, well, your entire speech will be lost to them. It won't live on after you finish speaking. But if you give them something to think about, you give them that mic drop, what's going to happen is your speech is going to keep going. They're going to keep evaluating it. They're going to continue learning from it. So look for that conclusion, that clincher, to be just as impactful as that attention getter. What we talked about, the opening of your speech, us moving through the speech, and finally the closing of the speech. As always, if you have any questions, make sure to send me a message on D2L, email me, let me know, and I will be glad to answer those. Taking away from this lecture, what I really want you to understand is that your introduction is what gets your audience to pay attention to you. And that strong conclusion is truly what makes your speech impactful.